Road to Redline is the #1 Porsche and car podcast, celebrating the people and the stories behind the world's finest sports cars. Road to Redline is presented by Porsche journalist Lee Sibley, consumer guru Joe Williams, and engineer Andy Brooks. 3 enthusiasts on a mission to open doors and bring you the best stories, secrets, and exclusives from the world of Porsche.
How are you, Andy B?
I'm all right. Where's Joe?
Joe is away.
Just me and they then. Just me and they.
Yes, exactly.
Said in a country accent for some reason. I don't know why.
just they and I.
Indeed.
So we are flying as a double-act today. For the first 5 minutes anyway, and then we've got a guest on. So we will be back up to 3 people on this podcast.
Yes. Just
before we do get our guest on, though, and more on PJ shortly, I just want to relay a little story. So I was driving along with Laura today.
Yeah.
In my 911, and we're just having a chat. And Laura said, I've seen the pictures because you've obviously been doing really well on the Instagram posts of like the red carpet event. And she saw the video. And she said, didn't you record a podcast from there? How did it go? And I was like, well, funny you should say, have a listen to this, put it on. And which was obviously our episode. It was the last episode that we published. And I don't know, well, you've obviously listened to it back from editing it. I was crying with laughter, and I can't work out whether it's because it was that much of a shambles or what. I don't know. I can't work out if the genius behind it was how shambolic it was, or whether I was laughing at our own thing, or what. Do you know what I mean? It's like the 3 of us, we really didn't have a clue what was going on the day. Then there was obviously your language going on as well.
Oh dear.
Mate, honestly,
sorry for the bombs.
It was so funny, like genuinely. We listened to a little bit of it, and I'd be interested to know what other people thought of that
that episode. I edited out a few pauses and stuff, but didn't take out too much stuff because I thought it would take away the atmosphere.
There was plenty of it, and I thought, I wonder if third parties listen to this will think this is scripted genius, or whether they'll think this is utter guff. I think I'm somewhere down the middle. But it was funny. But do you know what? It was great, and wasn't it awesome as well to have everybody joining in on the day and submitting questions? That's really
absolutely
what the pod is all about. It's a community pod. So
I dropped. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've dropped the video that. We've done.
So if people are listening at home and you're thinking, I might have missed out, or what sort of flavour do these guys go for when they put on an event? Have a look at the video, and you'll get a bit of an understanding of the vibe that we have on our events, and what you can expect for our events going forward as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a good little sum up of the vibe, as you say. Really cool. I
think so, mate. Yeah. Did any Porsche news for you this week?
Have I got any news? No. Car's still dirty. No, not doing anything. Working. No, sorry, no news.
Well, good.
Absolutely. Yeah. You?
I had a lovely couple of days in Wales in a manual 992, which was awesome.
Yes.
That was really, really cool. I think particularly because everybody was at Goodwood. Oh,
yeah.
I was 300 miles away in Snowdonia, and I did south.
You were the
north.
only one there.
I really was, mate, and I got that carried away. I had to stay an extra night because it started. It was very late in the day when I realised what the time was. I was in Snowdonia.
Having so much fun.
Genuine, I thought by the time I get back down to Poole, it's going to be 3 a.m. There's just no point. So I found somewhere local in the end. But it was absolutely awesome. I do just want to quickly say as well, if that's okay for a shameless plug, to say we've got Fried Eggs is back on.
Yes, I saw that advert for it.
Yeah, so Fried Eggs 4, we're going to be heading north. So the last 3 physical shows, obviously there was Fried Eggs virtual in January because of the lockdown. The previous 3 have been west, east and south of the M25. So we're going north this time, a fair bit, past Birmingham actually. But if any 996 owners fancy coming to that, just check out Eventbrite because tickets are free, but we are limiting it to 75 cars, not people. So that's Sunday the 1st of August in Cannock if people are interested in that.
Excellent. Good.
Grandiose. Anyway, enough of that. Yeah, should we get our guest on?
Yeah, let's crack on. We have got PJ Gibbons. We met him, well, Joe and I met him at a show that he put on a couple of weekends ago, which is called Aircooled Edition. Wicked little show. Who would have thought you could get a load of crusty old Volkswagens and Porsches dropping oil on a golf course? I don't know how he's done it, but it was epic. Let's find out how the hell he did get that to happen.
Yes, let's do it. Let's bring him on.
PJ Gibbons, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. Zoom call tonight as we're sort of around the country, but good to see you. Joe's not with us, unfortunately. It's just me and Lee to get some questions in for you.
Hello.
I and Joe met PJ at your show, which was called Aircooled Edition. I saw Si Medicott there. He was helping you organise the event. I've met Si a few times, and he said, you need to speak to PJ. You need to find out his story. So that's how this came about. Thank you, Si, for introducing us. The show, it was fantastic.
Thank you very much. That's very fun.
My first question is, how the hell do you get somebody to say yes to holding a car show on a golf club if you're not in Carmel or whatever for the for Pebble Beach?
So I worked at Sanford Springs, the venue, for approximately 8 years. I still work there part-time.
Yeah.
And basically we were having a brainstorm of how to get more people to come into a golf course, when a golf course is a fairly intimidating place.
Yeah.
Like, people don't really feel like they can freely just come in. You know, there's a hotel, there's a restaurant, there's blah, blah, blah. But everyone's afraid of it because of the golf course stigma.
Yes.
So when it came around the table and I was like, what's your idea? I was like, well, why don't we do a car event? Because, that's a fantastic idea. We'll get new people in. It's not just golfers. And they were like, well, who puts cars on a golf course? So then obviously I showed them all the clips from Pebble Beach, and then, well, that changed things. You know what I mean? As soon as Pebble Beach does it, it's like, oh, Pebble Beach. So that changed that. But initially, the event started off as a mixed classic car show.
Yeah.
And it was only this year that we decided to make the change to an air-cooled event based off of basically, my passion is air-cooled cars. That's what I've been doing for years. And we thought with everything that's happened with COVID, it was a good opportunity to try something new for the brand. Hence why it's Classics at the Clubhouse Aircooled Edition. Yeah. Because Classics at the Clubhouse was already an existing event.
So that ran for a couple of years, didn't it? You had 2 shows there.
So I think we had done 3 events by the time we had to cancel because of COVID.
Yeah.
So the nice thing is when we decided to do Aircooled Edition, I already had all the plans. I had everything already laid out, and all of the stuff was okayed with the business and the venue, and we had built new roads. The road you came in on, the gravel one.
Yes.
That was only finished a week before the event. But basically, it meant that I was just able to then use all the people and friends and I say colleagues, that's not correct, but the friends and essentially family that I've made in the air-cooled scene to start creating an event. And I was overwhelmed by the positive response that we had from people. So, and we did that entire event from me pitching it as an air-cooled event to it happening in like less than 3 months, I think.
Yeah, PJ, I just wanted to say where you went down the air-cooled road for the events, and obviously, as you were saying, that's your passion, and obviously the car behind you, the 356, is cooled by air after all. I'd like to know what you think of like the air-cooled versus water-cooled divide, or do you think there is one in like the Porsche world? Because there are some people that own one of both, but otherwise, as an air-cooled guy, I'd quite like to get your thoughts on that.
I see no issue with either. I mean, I've not owned a water-cooled Porsche, but I've owned water-cooled Volkswagens and other cars. And I started with air-cooled Volkswagens. I think like a lot of people who are into Porsches probably did.
Yeah.
But I've never really thought that one was necessarily better than the other, or one was not worth my time. It was literally just, this is my taste and this is what I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'd say that if I go back to the Volkswagen scene, there probably is a bit of a stigma in that. And when we were creating Aircooled Edition, it wasn't to keep water-cooled people out at all. It was just to create something that was focused, if that makes sense. So
yeah.
I've got absolutely no issue with water-cooled Porsches, Volkswagens, or any cars, but it was just, we have a limited space on the golf course anyway. Like, well, to a degree, we could have technically fit 4,000 people if we'd wanted. That was what the laws for COVID were anyway.
Yeah.
But it was about creating something that was focused and that we could all get back into and enjoy. And
I think that's kind of fair play just with what you were saying on those comments, really. I think when you get together at events, I've never really heard anybody say there's a load of water-cooled guys looking at an air-cooled car. They're not readily dismissive of it, and vice versa. It only kind of tends to be online, I think, or whatever, where people can be a little bit stigmatized. And to be fair, there are some people that might have the air-cooled stuff, and in Porsche world, this is obviously the water-cooled stuff. I've heard the thing before, it's not a proper Porsche. But then you go to a show and you don't... kind of over though, isn't it? Yeah, well, I think sometimes you see it online, but then, like I say, when you're at these events and that, and this is where I think like Porsche guys, again, a bit like the VW, on the whole, they're quite a laid-back bunch. And I think everybody, especially in this day and age, is kind of appreciative of it's different strokes for different folks. So, you might not have that emotional pull or the same emotional pull as the person next to you towards the car, but you can still appreciate it, and moreover, appreciate the fact that somebody else enjoys that car,
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I completely get that. And it wasn't until recently that I realised that not everyone loves 356s as much as me, which is very naive. But for me, I always thought 356s were the pinnacle of cars, not just Porsche or anything. It was just like, that is my dream car. And everyone else must have the same opinion, surely. But I recently found out that some people think they're old man cars. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Porsche Genesis right there.
Yeah. I think it's good. I think it's good for a show to have a focus. And I think it was really cool having the focus on air-cooled stuff that from both the Volkswagen and Porsche, because there's just there's so much diversity there for those years of car production, but with a kind of focus. It wasn't just a lineup of 993s or a lineup of split buses. It was I think it was quite a nice little mix. It made for a good spectacle.
For me, I kind of got the inspiration for doing this event from going to another event that was specifically Porsches, and basically as I was leaving, and I was in a friend's car, he was driving. And as I was leaving, I got round to the car park outside of the show field, and in it was, Ashgood Porsche's yellow split window, Australian split window bus with 912 engine.
Yeah.
And it was just in the car park. And I was like, to be honest, that vehicle is cooler than many of the cars that I've already seen at this event. And I kind of like that should be welcome at an event like this, but it wasn't. And for me, I kind of wanted to bring together people and cars that complement each other in an environment that was quite unique. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think you succeeded. It was great. Thanks. Really enjoyed it. Shame about the rain, but we won't talk about that.
But I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, it could have been, couldn't it? Yeah.
And we just sat and we watched it for like the whole week, like trying to watch this weather front just push through. And on the Saturday, it was absolutely baking. It was beautiful. We all got sunburned. We were setting up. It was lovely. We were, sat eating pizzas outside. Simon was there and a few of the other sponsors. And you're like, man, if it's like this, it's going to be an absolute banger. And with that, we were all sat eating pizzas and we got soaked. So
I always think with events in this country, it's the great British gamble, because it could be, as you say, absolutely perfect the day before. And, as we found out, Andy, doing our Road to Redline, red carpet bits and pieces, you can plan for absolutely everything. What you cannot plan for is the weather. And we really are at the mercy
I think all you can do is
Mother Nature, All
you can do is plan for it being shit and hope it's going to be better.
So I felt smug about it, because I've got 20 years worth of rainfall data, daily rainfall data from the golf course, because they collect all that information. So the weekend I chose was statistically the driest for that location of the whole year. I was like, this is it. We sorted it. Mate, what was it? 2 years before that, it was so hot that we were out the night before filling the lakes back up with hoses. I kid you not. It was completely drained. Yeah. And then, previously as well, we had it in August, and we had a hailstorm that blew in, and it blew away a gazebo. It's like you cannot win sometimes.
Yeah.
If it's too hot, people complain, and if it's too wet, well, we know what happens.
I don't know if you've seen, but we did an event. Was it last weekend or the weekend before?
I saw on your Instagram.
Yeah,
it looked cool.
And we had a
red carpet thing.
That's it. Yeah, the red carpet. The red carpet was actually under about 3 inches of water at one point during the morning, wasn't it, Lee?
Oh, you're joking.
It was horrendous.
It was pretty bad, but it was a good event.
I suppose that's one thing about the air-cooled and water-cooled guys, is that chances are, I bet you got a lot more water-cooled people come out when it was raining than air-cooled.
But there was a good turnout of air-cooled cars as well.
Yeah,
I would say, wouldn't you, Andy?
Yeah,
I think, you definitely see less of them, and we have commented previously, PJ, on this podcast. Joe made the point actually after attending Simply Porsche at Bewley, and it was kind of a sea of 996 and 997, and that is a all-in Porsche event. If it's got a Stuttgart prancing horse on the front, you're in. That's the only kind of jurisdiction. But Joe said at the time he'd have liked to have seen a few more air-cooled cars, and they are out there, but you just tend to not see them as much, I would say, at events, which is a shame.
Yeah. I mean, we got very lucky with having the sponsors and associates that we did with our event. I mean, PRS bringing that whole stack of 356s down, absolutely mind-blowing.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
Couldn't believe it. They showed us photos from the night before when they'd had their transporter bringing vehicles down, and the transporter had accidentally gone through a protest in London. And I've seen the photos. I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but you got all these protesters jumping on the back of the trailer, and you got priceless cars on that.
Oh my god!
And the driver was telling me he had to call the police and get people off and all sorts of things.
Wow! Any damage or?
No, they stuck a load of rude stickers on the side of the vehicle to do with Matt Hancock. They got peeled off, and I think everything was fine, but quite amusing.
What's just diverging from the event stuff a little bit, PJ? So talk to us about the 356 thing, because we talk about particularly 911s on this podcast until the cows come home, but I feel like we don't give enough love to the 356. So what's the big appeal for you?
Yeah,
I mean, I think for me, like I said, I got into Beetles first. Well, actually, my first love was Volkswagen buses, but the Beetle was cheaper, and that was what I could get at the time, and I got into a Bug. And that evolution, I remember seeing, it was a photo of a Carman Gear and a 356 next to each other, and it was years and years ago, like back in the day when, I'd be on forums and stuff, like learning things, no Facebook, no nothing like that. And I remember seeing it, and I was just like, that's the most beautiful car I've ever seen. And I've always been driven was a terrible pun. I've always been attracted to aesthetics in a vehicle rather than performance. And to me, the lines and the shape and, the essence of the 356 is perfection. I mean, I know that sounds really, really arrogant, I guess, but I haven't found a prettier car. I won't lie, I like Mercedes, like 300 SL, Gullwing. I think that's one of the most beautiful cars of all time as well. But the 356 for me is, I mean, who can get 300 SL? It's like £1 million car. You know, it's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah.
But for me, the 356 has and always will be my dream car. So I can tell you a bit about. I've only had it 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I would say I was probably spurred on by a quarter life or midlife crisis, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Sounds similar to me.
Well, I was writing a will, and I got 2 young kids, and you know, I was told I need to make a will, and so I was in the process of that, and I was like, man, if I go, you know, touch wood, no time soon, but if I go, like, I'm leaving one child with a rusty Volkswagen truck, the other with a rusty Volkswagen Beetle, the other with a pristine. But I was kind of like, I just need to kind of sort my life out and just get the car I want, and just crack on. Because, you know, sadly, you never know when your time is up. And I just thought, you know, fuck it.
Is that what you said to her ladyship then, in getting the 356 deal over the line? It's not for me, it's for the children and their future.
Yeah. Well, as in my missus, she was so behind the choice.
Amazing.
She came with me. You know, we've always talked about this car, essentially. You know, It's always been on the list. You know, you know, when we first met, one of the first trips we ever did was in my, you know, 65 camper. And I remember hammering it down with rain. The dashboard had caught fire, all sorts. And, you know, once she put up with all of that, you know, I was like, you know, she can stick around. It's all right. So she's very used to old cars. She's very used to the smell and everything that goes with them, and the fact that you never 100% know you're going to get to your destination. But she's cool.
So tell us a bit about the 356. Obviously, it's white. It looks like it's got a nice stance on it from what I remember at the weekend.
So yeah, I've taken the I don't know if you see there's a chair in the way. I've taken all the racy stuff off again now because basically I'd just done a trip to Goodwood and to Brooklands we went for like some parade laps and a photo shoot on the banks and stuff at Brooklands. And so I thought, you know, Simon as well, we both did. We thought we'd get into it a bit more, make them look a bit racier. Yeah. But now it's back to civilian spec. But do you want me to go through my history of Porsches? This is my third.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Take us through. Yeah, where did cars come? How did they hit your life? When did you first think, I'm a car guy?
So I first got into cars when I can't remember not being into cars. I always had a little, you know, lineup of toy cars and everything. And my dad was in the motor industry, in that he was a founding partner of Autotrader magazine.
Oh, okay.
In the UK.
Quality.
So him and his business partner started that in 1977. Gee. And it's quite cool. It's a Reading-based company, you know. So we're very proud of that, and it's quite fun to think about all the cars that have been sold through a process that my dad was involved in. Yeah, he's never bought and sold a car through that magazine once.
Absolutely awesome.
He started that magazine with £500. That's how he got into that.
Wow.
They didn't have an office. They didn't have anything. They just had they had a work company car, which was a Morris Marina, which they'd sit and have their meetings in on their lunch break and stuff. You know, they when they were starting it up and they were pitching it to WH Smith's, they took it to WH Smith's, and the manager there at the time, I don't know what he was called, like a sales manager of the company or whatever. They were like, showed him the products and said, you know, would you think you're going to stock this? And then the guy turned around to them and said, have you got your shirts riding on this? And I said, yeah, we put everything into this. And I was like, well, put your shirts back on and go back to your day job, because this hasn't got a hope in hell.
Oh, classic. Absolutely classic.
So 6 months later, they received a letter in the post of apology asking if they could stock it. So.
Excellent.
Quite fun.
I remember... I sort of remember, you know, Autotrader, thinking back to when I was sort of just coming into cars and everything. And you know, you'd ring up the Autotrader local rep, and they'd come round with some real crappy camera, take one photo of your car, and you had 20 words to describe it.
Yeah,
it just seems mad.
That was it. I mean, even back in the day, like, I guess that was still helpful, but compared to what you can do today, I mean, I've bought and sold cars for Autotrader, so
yeah. Well, even like, you know, how many sales and transactions and how many people have bought the car of their dreams through your dad's idea and that, but like by the same token, you know, a whole language has been created where you were saying you all had a certain amount of characters. FSH. FSH, you know, FPSH. Now every bloke on the planet knows, you know, full service history, full Porsche service history or whatever. You know?
Or as my wife would call it, fish.
But there's so many bits and pieces like that again have all kind of come from that necessity to fit in that character word limit, which again has come from, you know, from your dad's business there. So that's absolutely fantastic, to be honest. That's car culture defined.
It is. It is. I mean, to be honest, when it first started, it didn't just have cars in it. Like my dad was so desperate to fill the adverts that he's got his own car in it. He's got his house in it. Everything is like. But it's quite cool. Like I've got the first 3 copies, and one of them has still got all the notes on it that was written on it for like make text bigger, do this, do that, which I think is quite nice to own.
That is seriously cool, and genuinely that is like automotive history.
I don't know how many there are in the world, to be honest.
Yeah,
you know how many. No one kept them. You know, I'm constantly scouring eBay and stuff to try and find original copies, but. No, okay. I guess there's one guy in Yorkshire that's got a stack of them. But
that'd be fantastic to look back at, wouldn't they? I mean, some of the values of cars, and
I can send you some scans, and you can cry about the prices.
That would be really cool to see. Yeah, like year and price. You know, we could almost do like a guess the price competition or something on Instagram and just see. And I wonder actually, and this is what's so wonderful about things like this. Is you know, a listener might even spot their old car on there, or maybe they put the advert in themselves. You just don't know.
There you go.
That's seriously cool.
So yeah, I was kind of into cars through that association. Like we would go to, you know, British touring cars and stuff. My dad would take me to there. I get to go laps around that, Silverstone, etc., or wherever it had been at the time. And my mum was a petrol head as well, to be honest. She's actually, ironically, my mum was more into cars than my dad. He quite likes, you know, comfy cars, you know, gets them from A to B. He enjoys comfort. And my mum had, you know, just like 996s, stuff like that, Mercedes. So for me, she got me more into the idea of like sports cars and stuff. But I always used to get, as a kid, I used to get so travel sick in my dad's car. So
big old mushy.
Like a big Merc, and I just feel horrific by the end of it. Like, you know, even sometimes the smell of certain car interiors will trigger PTSD, I swear. But, so I mean, obviously I passed my test at 17. I had a BMW Mini at the time, which I modified to the point where it eventually became a cover car of a magazine, which was quite fun. And then I decided that I'd had enough of that, and it was time to get into, you know, what I wanted, which was an air-cooled car. So I bought my first 63 Beetle, which then led on to buses and caddies and et cetera, early mark on Golfs. And then I was going through a bit of a lifestyle change when I was about 25, I think. I had moved into my friend's house, and I was like newly single, and I was driving a Mark III Caddy van, and I was like, there's no chance I'm going to get any girls in a Mark III Caddy. And if I do, they're going to be scared of me. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. Drag them into the back of your van.
Exactly. It's not a good look. You know, like when you pull up to a date and it's like, it's lowered, isn't it? Yeah, it's good. I mean, it was carpeted, but we won't go into that. So I ended up buying a 944 S2, which I loved. It was the perfect car at the time for me. It was white with a cobalt interior. It was like proper drug dealer chic. Like, I loved it. And I mean, for someone that was born in the late 80s as well, like pop-up headlights have always just been the dream. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
For me, that was awesome. I eventually sold that car just because I wanted some money and it wasn't really getting driven once I found a girlfriend.
Done its job.
It served its purpose. But then going back to Simon Medleycott, who you mentioned earlier. Simon, I mean, I was so heavily into Volkswagen at the time. I was quite blinkered, but Simon had just bought a slate grey 912, and I remember looking at it and him being like, "What do you think?" I was like, in my mind, I thought, "Man, that is a boring car. You have bought a proper old man car." I didn't get it at all because I was so blinkered by slammed Volkswagen. That's all I wanted. And then eventually he was like, "Dude, I've got to sell it because I need to go do this and do that." They were planning on having a child, and he was like, "I want to go traveling first." Him and his wife, and they were getting married and wanted a house. So he's like, "I need to sell it." And I was like, "He's like, dude, you can have a go in it before I sell it." And I'm like, "I don't want to go in it. I don't like it." He's like, "No, seriously, have a go in it." So I did, and immediately I realised how much of a muppet I'd been, because it was just an absolutely life-changing experience to go in a classic car that actually wanted to go around corners and wanted to go uphill, and you didn't scrape on everything. And I had never I'd never been so excited about driving a car like that since my very first car. Like, when you first go out after passing a test on your own and you're like, it was like that, and I was completely gobsmacked by how good it was. And so I bought it off him there and then that day.
Wow.
And
what a turnaround from
like 360 degrees.
Yeah.
I literally see photos from the show he showed me at, and I saw it today. I was trying to find a car with my friend at lunchtime. I was like, "Oh, that's my car." But yeah, I just remember sitting there being like, "Don't get it. Why would you sell a bus to buy a 912? Like, can't sleep in a 912." So yeah, I loved that car. I did a load of work on it. I owned that for a number of years. My buddy Jack, Flat Six Jack, worked on it. Ian from Ease Autos helped with the engine. It was a really good car to get into what I was starting to get into. But at the same time, I also had a long-term project going with an old speed split window bug that I'd bought off of Facebook without seeing from Sweden. And that was a wicked project. That had a split case 356 Pre-A engine in it. It was a really cool car, but it then got to a point where this midlife crisis, I don't know what we call that, because
realization, I think that
an epiphany. An epiphany. Whilst being prompted about a will. I realised I had, the split bug. I had a 912. I had a 65 camper, all of which weren't getting driven enough, or my kids didn't really care about so much. And like I said, I thought, if I sell this, and this, I can get into this, and I can have one car that I can really focus on, and it's my dream car, and I'll crack on with that kind of thing. So the 3 other vehicles got sold to pay for that one vehicle behind me. Yeah. And it was sad, I'd owned that split window bus for 10 years and everything, and put a lot into it. But, you evolve, your tastes evolve. I haven't always been a diehard Porsche fan. I've always been a diehard 356 fan. And thanks to the 912 I bought off Simon, it completely opened my eyes to other things. And I realised that, it isn't just about slammed Volkswagens. There are a million awesome cars out there. That being said, I still only drive air-cooled ones. So,
what do you find about? What do you like about the 356? I managed to get actually a bit of seat time, as in just sitting in one. Literally, I was at a car show, and the guy that owned it said, I asked him if I could sit in the driver's seat, and he said his little saying was, once you get in that car, what did he say? He said, once you get in that car, it's like it's a gentleman's car. And once you've been in it, you'll be enchanted by it and you'll want one. And I was like, oh, okay. Don't think I will. But I got in that car and it was just like, fucking hell, he's right. He's bloody right. Because it just, I don't, have you sat in one, Lee?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think? I fell in love with it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I sat in the one owned by the Porsche Club.
The white one. Yeah.
Alba, it's called.
Yeah.
I've no idea what model it is, to be honest with you. I know it was restored by Andy Prill, a fairly well-renowned Porsche specialist in Essex. And it's nice. I've not driven it yet. I'd very much like to one day. But yeah, I looked at it from the point of view of a Porsche journalist and was sitting there kind of going, yeah, I can just see this is totally kind of Porsche Genesis, and I can see how the 911 evolved from it. It is, by comparison to even like a very early 911, I find quite agricultural.
Yeah, sure.
But again, that is the appeal of that car completely.
Yeah.
You know?
Someone once commented to me that not all Porsches are necessarily for like the current Porsche owners. I think a car like this is someone that's coming from a different background that is getting into a car like this, if that makes sense. I know for a fact that this car got passed over by so many people that I know personally, because it was a bit too rough, or at the time it was slightly overpriced, or for whatever reason. But for someone coming from a Volkswagen background, where, you know, I was used to a car where it literally brought mice into my house. I'm not joking. You know, I've been driving vehicles that haven't had fuel gauges for, you know, the best part of 10 years. So when you say agricultural, man, this one's doors have locks. It's got a cigarette light and a light fancy. You know, for me, it was like, I can see this. So,
what year is the car?
So it's a bit of a weird one because it's a 57, but it's like a crossover model.
Yeah.
So it's technically a T1, an AT1.
Yeah.
But it's right at the end of the production of the T1, so it's actually got like a T2 back end.
Okay.
It's a really funny one. So the T1 would have had the like beehives at the back, which are very pretty, which I really like. But that's got the teardrops, which is fine. I'm completely cool with it. But it's got like the early dash, like the early like door hingy lock bits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
and how does it drive in comparison to a Beetle?
Oh, way better than a Beetle.
Yeah.
But bearing in mind, I'd come from a 912 before this.
Yeah, sure.
The way that I would describe the difference is it's kind of like if the 912 and a really good Beetle had some kind of love child, that's where it sits, really. It's like, I love how short the wheelbase feels. It feels like a really nippy little vehicle. But in terms of the way it handles, like now it's great because I've got like a sports anti-roll bar, it's like suspension's all been redone. But before, when I first got it, I was disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Like I was like, man, this, you know, like I got rid of a 912, I got rid of this and this and this for this, and you know, people say never meet your heroes, don't they? And you know, a friend of mine who happens to be the delivery driver that dropped this off, he's like, oh man, have you ever driven one of these? And I was like, no. And he's like, good luck. And I was like, thanks.
Oh, thanks, mate.
It's only my dream car. But, and then honestly, I had a load of people say it to me, caffeine and machine and stuff, and I was like, man, am I going to be really disappointed? And like I said, lo and behold, at first I definitely was. But with a few tweaks, and they're not even massive tweaks. It was like new tyres, and the new tyres made a massive difference. Yeah. Anti-roll bar, tighten up the steering box, and it's amazing. It's a brilliant car. Brilliant car. So in comparison to the 912, it feels a little lighter. Like the engine that's in the back of it is more powerful than the 912 motor I had anyway.
Okay.
So it feels a bit stronger. Like I said, it's lighter, shorter wheelbase. It feels like a great car. Like I love it to bits. Like I will keep this car for the rest of my life now. You know, I might have to do some more work on it, but I will keep it until cars aren't allowed on the road. I'll be driving this.
What I'll be interested to just find out a little bit more, PJ, about your experiences with other 356 owners. And you say you were born late 80s. Mm-hmm. I would say you possibly don't fit the demographic of a 356 owner, generally speaking. So how have you found the world of 356 owners from that point of view?
I actually haven't had many interactions with many 356 owners, if I'm honest. The only 356 owners I know are ones that I knew from Volkswagens anyway.
Yeah.
I must admit, I did go to an event and I saw a 356 I really, really liked. It was a Carrera, and I was kind of like snooping around, hoping that the owner would come and talk to me. But they didn't. They just stuck with their champagne and their picnic, and that was that. And I guess that kind of summarizes what some of the owners are like. But yeah, I mean, I've kind of had this question on my mind that I wouldn't mind asking, like a registry or a Porsche club or whatever, what the biggest age gap is between someone and the car they own, because I'm imagining that this is quite a decent gap in terms of like being 33 years old and the car being from 1957. I don't know, but I don't know.
So getting on for like literally that's done two of your lives essentially on planet Earth very nearly. So
yeah, and you can tell. You can tell. What are we talking about?
What's your
the demographic. That was
we're basically asking how beige are your trousers. So.
No, I got rid of my beige trousers for that reason. I mean, I don't know. I'd never. Maybe I was just in a group of people that all had similar tastes, but like I said earlier, I never figured this for being an old man's car. Like, I just thought it was like a little hot rod. I was like, yeah. But I mean, like I look at Rod Emery's stuff and the stuff that goes on in the States, and like I was like, these are cool cars. But I don't know. I guess I never really. I don't know. I always look to the car rather than the audience it may be attracted.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see actually over the next sort of few years, because I'm sure when we say beige trousers and that, there's probably a demographic, quite a big demographic that do in that beige trouser area own 356s, and that's probably going to change over the next few years, and sort of new blood coming into the 356 ownership, I guess.
But I wonder whether it will. I wonder if it's to everyone's two A generation's taste. Like, I mean, would you guys ever want one over a 911? I don't know.
I don't know if I want one over a 911.
Yeah, there you go. And there's 911s that are cheaper than a 356.
Well, we've even talked before, and I use the analogy of Elvis Presley memorabilia, and how years ago, every week, new records would set at auctions for Elvis Presley memorabilia, and then it fell off the cliff. And the reason was enthusiasts of Elvis Presley memorabilia had fallen off the cliff, sort of thing. So, and it kind of, we've discussed it by a similar token. In 15 years, will people look at a long bonnet 911 and go, "Whoa"? It's the start of a 911, or will they go, well, it's a bit of a tractor, it's very agricultural. I could buy a 993, which is still air cooled, but is very comfortable, a hell of a lot more reliable, etc., etc. Or beyond, people might, they might only look at more modern stuff. They might even look at cars with engines full stop and go, well, I don't know, this is obviously a few years down the line. So it's a really interesting question. I think only kind of time will tell, really. But certainly with like the 356 thing, I hope that lineage, and I'm sure it will remain strong. There's a guy in Australia, Mark and Cars, does a Porsche podcast and some YouTube videos, and we've had a chat. And I never thought, he's a very nice guy, but I'd never thought I'd see the day where there's a geezer driving a 356 with a snapback on. So did you see what I mean? And I think I'm sure it will happen. And the 356, it is diverse in what you can do with the car, as you were pointing out, PJ. Making it more racy, then put it back to more road bias. It's just like a 911 in that regard.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you think going back like 8 years ago or whatever, before Magnus Walker, like, were 911s seen in the same way that they were then as they are now, or? There
are so many millennials currently driving or getting into air-cooled cars, which has not happened before. And I mean sort of like G-bodied cars, so, not necessarily 993, 964. But that's great to see. And again, long may that continue. I think where Porsche is a lot better than other manufacturers is regards to kind of ramming the company's history down the throat of enthusiasts. It's
true.
impossible, even if you're buying a 992, it's impossible to walk into a Porsche dealership and not have some grasp of some area of their history. And with people like yourself putting a good word out there for the 356 as well, then hopefully that all helps in the same way.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I was so shocked that not everyone shared my opinion. I'm a bit naive.
What plans have you got for it for future?
Mechanically now, it's as good as I ever expected.
Yeah.
The engine is sweet as a nut. That's like a Super 90 engine that's been modified, like just kind of hot rodded to a degree.
Yeah.
Disc brakes. I actually want to track it. Not like a serious track day car, but I want to take it on track days.
Yeah, push its limits a bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to, I don't know, just enjoy it. Like I've still got a 63 Bug that's like the family classic. So this one is very much my car. I think I just like to keep going with it, man. I want to own it forever. I want to enjoy it forever.
Excellent.
My buddy John, he's the first person I'd let have a go in this car today. Not today, ever, but he's the first person I've let drive the car.
Yeah.
And he's had 997 turbos. He's got a 911 SC. He's got a 9126, and he loved it, man. He was like smiling from ear to ear. Once he kind of got used to it and got used to the engine and stuff, and you think, if you can go from a 997 turbo to a 356 and it still makes you smile, then it can't be wrong. It's a good time. So.
Yeah. Nice. Have you got any plans to add to the garage for the future? Is there anything that's on the list of like, oh yeah, I really want one of those?
Do you know what?
Or you a settled man?
Unfortunately, there's always something around the corner, isn't there, that you want to get. I've got completely bizarre, but I really like one of those Icon 917 replicas.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be wicked fun. Imagine opening the garage and seeing that. Awesome.
Tripping up over it before you see it, I think.
yeah. Well, I just think it'd be awesome. Like open the garage up the 356 there, and then a 917, and you'd be like, either that or a nice early 911T. I'd like, which I would just mildly hot rod. New set of wheels, bit of a stance drop, probably a roll cage. That'd be nice. But I'd like something colourful, maybe an orange or a red or yellow. I really like Bahama yellow.
They do some great colours from the period Porsche out of the factory, and actually 911Ts, they're looking like really good value at the moment in comparison to some 912 prices I've seen.
Oh yeah, it's just gone crazy.
Yeah, they really have. Whereas the T, you've got all of that plus 2 extra cylinders. And a slightly better spec interior, etc.
Yeah. I'd love one. I've never owned a 6-cylinder air-cooled car, so one day it's got to happen. I mean,
it needs to be done, definitely.
Yeah.
So good to hear about the 356. What's next with the event with Classic at the Clubhouse?
So the idea for Classics at the Clubhouse is to carry on with the air-cooled theme. We're going to keep going with that. We're going to push it as far as we possibly can. Really, it's something I'm fully committed to, and the venue is fully committed to.
Excellent news.
Thank you very much. I've got sponsors that have already contacted me about coming back. I've got people that have messaged me about specific and special displays. The nice thing about our venue is that basically it's a 27-hole golf course, which means we can shut down 9 holes and the business can still operate.
Yeah.
So although we were only using a par 5, which is almost a quarter of a mile long, and a par 4 for the event this year, we've got the ability to start taking more and more and more holes.
Oh wow, excellent!
Which means you actually get a different look every single kind of different event or whatever. But I've got a space that I'm hoping they're going to let me use if the show continues to gather momentum, which I personally believe would make it one of the most beautiful events car events ever. Not just an air-cooled event, but in terms of an event that's, like you said, when we mentioned about a car show on a golf course, you immediately think Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's not many other people that have or do it. And I believe we have a venue that is very open-minded about this, that we can really push in the right direction. So I was, after the event finished, I had someone come up to me who I respect massively, and they were like, this is going to be the big calendar event of the year going forward now, which I thought was very, very kind of them to say, especially considering it was our first year, and, things never quite go to plan in the first year. So the fact that it's got that potential was really, really kind of them to say. So
yeah, when I saw the pictures, your first sort of advertising pictures of, the 3 cars on the golf course and the misty look and all that sort of stuff, and a nice bit of sun coming down, I thought, yeah, this is going to be good. I think it's just going to have that nice sort of vibe to it, and it lived up to that, definitely.
Yeah, I think had we been a bit luckier with the weather, I think the numbers would have been significantly higher.
Yeah,
we were planning that last week of ticket sales would have probably been the strongest.
Yeah,
that we'd have had, but the whole week it either rained or we had scares about new COVID variants.
Yes, yeah.
We were just happy to have the event on. You
Absolutely.
think it could have been cancelled because of COVID, but the weather didn't help us. But like I said, for the most of the day, we had a good time, and it was just us 4 unfortunate souls clearing up afterwards. He got absolutely drenched. So.
Did you have any burnout marks on the fairway at all?
No.
Everybody was really very respectful. Yeah, that's good.
We were very lucky.
What about oil leaks? Surely.
Oh yeah.
That'd have only been my cut. Actually, to be honest, no, I don't think so. I was speaking to the head greenkeeper because he was like being like, "Oh, we need to make sure we do this and do this." And
yeah, I bet he was having absolute kittens.
No, it was fine. It was really bizarre. He was very chill about it. It was very, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. We're moving the event 1 week earlier for next year because it clashes with another event. But, so that's going to be the 19th for next year. I believe it's not confirmed, but that's the date we're looking at. I spoke to him and he was like, "That's already healed. It's already, you'd never know that there'd been an event there." I think that was the nice thing about the rain, is that the rain healed the grass extremely quick.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I guess the thing is that grass is particularly well looked after, isn't it? When you go to a sort of like, I don't know, some field somewhere, it's just full of mud and grass that's got weeds and stuff. Yeah. It's got the drainage and the good quality surface. So
that place is literally designed to take water away and make the grass dry again. So
yeah,
it's very exciting.
Spot on.
I'll have to show you guys if you're ever up that way. Please give me a shout and I'll show you guys around the area. I've got penciled in for once the event hits.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see that.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds great.
I think it's another level.
Excellent. One comment from the event. Teas and coffees.
Oh mate, don't. We
I was dry.
So I had a whole tea and coffee person coming down. They were doing cakes, sandwiches, tea, coffee, blah blah blah. Night before, I got a phone call. "Oh yeah, we've broken down. We're not going to make it."
Oh no!
You're joking, So
yeah.
I mean, considering they were doing food as well as drinks and beverage.
Okay, the guys did well then.
They had done a wedding the night before. Our guys, they had been non-stop. I think the two working the restaurant bar area, I think they'd probably only had about 4 hours sleep, if that.
Okay, I'll let them off their grumpiness then.
I agree though. We had something in place and it fell through. So I apologise.
No, that's well apologised. I'm sure you'll get it right next year.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I've actually put in like double precautions now for next year in case someone else pulls out. I've got another person.
So yeah, you're doing it next year. Any other events? So I've seen that you've done some sort of evening events. Is that right?
Yeah. So we have
little pop-up ones.
Yeah, we haven't done that for a little while, but we're definitely planning on it. We used to call this the Thursday night roll-up, which was basically our equivalent to a cars and coffee, but because it's a golf course, the car park is full at 7 a.m. So because the golfers getting out early, so we can never really do morning meets. So our option was to do a Thursday evening in the summer. Which is the quietest time because the car park is empty and we can get everyone in, and that's actually been really successful. We haven't been able to run them this year just because of the logistics. But I hope we start those up again because that's been wicked fun.
Excellent.
We've got some crazy cars coming down to that as well. That's a mixed car event. That's not just air-cooled. Yeah. We had a Bentley that had the record around Brooklands or something.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. She just turned up. It's like, they don't even have lights. It was getting dark.
Just put the candles out.
Holding their iPhone.
Excellent.
Wicked.
Good. Well, yeah, I'd like to come to one of those if that goes ahead. Definitely. It'd be good. Good vibes.
Because we're not too far from you guys, are we?
No. It's not too bad at all.
Should do the 10 questions, Andy.
Excellent. Yeah, 10 questions would be good. Right then, PJ, time for 10 questions, I think. Ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know the drill?
No.
Okay. So get on it straight. Really come back to me with quick fire answers. No messing. First question, air or water? What is your favourite Porsche model?
356.
Yeah, I think we can predict all of these answers. What's your favourite Porsche colour?
Oh, dang. Wow. It's really difficult. Are we talking like modern or old? Or
whatever. Yeah.
The first thing that comes to your mind.
This is difficult. Different colours suit different cars. So I like, Bahama yellow on like a early 911 shape. I like white on a 356, and I like grey on later cars.
Oh, bit of primer.
Yeah. Okay. Quite an old school looking colour, isn't it? So
yeah, a bit overdone now though, I feel.
Yeah, I would probably agree. I'd probably agree, but I was, to be honest, every time I'm in a newer car, it's just black on black on black on black anyway.
Right. Next question. Who is your ultimate Porsche icon?
I mean, I've got to start from the beginning, I guess, and say like Ferdinand or Ferry Porsche.
Okay.
Like, there's no one modern I really like idolise or whatever.
What is your favourite track?
Okay, I'll go Brooklands, Monza, and the Nordschleife.
Okay. And to Fuchs or not to Fuchs?
That is the question. Again, it depends on what vehicle. I'm going to say on my car, no.
Yeah. Stock or hot rod?
Hot rod.
Of course. Narrow or wide body?
I'm fine with narrow.
Would you do a cars and coffee or would you prefer a track day?
Oh, I'd like to do a track day with a cars and coffee.
And lastly, would you do back seats in a 911 or would you strip them out?
I got kids, so I have to leave seats in.
Yeah. Excellent.
Nice. Good 10. Very good 10.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's been absolutely awesome to hear about the 356 and the continuing success of the car show.
I'd have loved to have come down, guys. To be honest, it just wasn't the right day in the end. But
no worries.
It'd be nice to have met you guys. So, but it's nice to virtually meet you. So.
Indeed. If you're ever down this way, just shout. And we'll do the same when we're up your way. Excellent.
Nice one, PJ. Yeah, appreciate your time today as well. Thank you for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. No worries, Lee.
This episode has been brought to you by our Patreons. If you enjoy this podcast and would like to support us as well, do so at www.patreon.com/roadtoredline.